Carl Jung once wrote, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." This gentle reminder invites us to surrender to the quiet wisdom of life unfolding. When Jung said everything you need is already on its way, he wasn't offering hollow comfort. He was pointing us back to the deep currents within ourselves, to the rhythms of synchronicity and becoming. Often in moments of doubt or longing, we feel incomplete or behind. Yet Jung suggests that our soul already knows the path. Our unconscious has already started weaving threads of meaning, guidance, and connection that are moving toward us, even if we can't see them yet. There is no need to rush or force the next step. Like seeds resting beneath winter soil, our answers are germinating, quietly preparing to bloom in their time. Trusting this process requires courage, but it also brings peace, a sense that the universe is not indifferent, but intimately engaged with our inner world. In this warm view, life is not happening to us, but with us. All we must do is stay present, keep listening, and open our hearts to the signs, for what we seek may already be seeking us. Dear everyone, before we continue the program, if you enjoy this topic, please comment number 1. If you'd like me to create more similar content, comment number 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any useful videos. Thank you, and wish you all meaningful moments. Have you ever felt like your life is in a state of limbo? Like you're waiting for something, anything, to finally click into place? Maybe you've been tirelessly working toward a dream that still feels far off. Or perhaps you're standing at a crossroads, paralyzed by uncertainty, not knowing what the right next step should be. There's a quiet ache in moments like these, a feeling that something is missing, delayed, or just beyond reach. And yet, what if nothing is missing? What if everything you need is not just out there somewhere, but already in motion, making its way towards you, guided by deeper forces you may not fully understand? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist and mystic thinker, believed exactly that. He once suggested that life isn't a linear march of cause and effect, but a living dialogue between your inner world and the universe itself. He believed in synchronicity, that meaningful coincidences reveal the architecture of an intelligent universe. He trusted the unconscious mind, that deep within us lies a compass that senses more than logic ever could. And above all, Jung offered a beautiful, liberating insight. What you are looking for is already on its way to you. In this video, we'll explore this powerful idea, not as wishful thinking, but as a lived philosophy, a way of walking through life with greater trust, insight, and emotional depth. Through 8 immersive sections, we'll unpack Jung's views on fate, the psyche, timing, symbols, and the soul's journey toward wholeness. We'll look at how your current challenges may not be obstacles at all, but invitations to awaken to who you truly are. And we'll reconnect with the part of you that already knows you are not stuck, you are being shaped. So sit back, breathe deeply, and let's journey inward, because everything you need is already on its way. 1. The inner compass, trusting the unconscious. Carl Jung often said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. This distinction between the outer world and the inner realm is where our journey begins, because to truly understand why everything you need is already on its way, you must first reconnect with your own inner guidance system, the unconscious mind, the myth of control. Modern life conditions us to believe that control equals safety. We're taught to map out our goals, control outcomes, and stay productive. But what happens when you do everything right and still feel lost? What happens when life refuses to unfold according to plan? This is the moment many people encounter the limits of the conscious mind. It's also the moment where Jung's ideas shine brightest. Jung proposed that the psyche is much larger than we perceive. The conscious mind, our waking thoughts, decisions, and logic, is merely the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies the vast, mysterious territory of the unconscious, a place where dreams, intuition, symbols, and inner truths reside. Rather than being chaotic or random, Jung saw the unconscious as purposeful. It's not there to confuse us, it's there to guide us. It contains the seeds of who we are meant to become, even before we know it consciously. Synchronicity, the language of divine timing. Now, you might ask, if I can't control everything consciously, then how do I know life is still working in my favor? This is where Jung's concept of synchronicity comes in. Synchronicity is the experience of two or more events that are meaningfully related, yet have no causal connection. For example, thinking of an old friend and receiving a message from them moments later, stumbling on a book that answers the exact question you've been wrestling with, feeling lost, only to overhear a stranger's words that feel like they were meant for you. Jung believed these were not coincidences, but evidence, signs that the universe and the unconscious are communicating with you in symbolic language. These moments are whispers of alignment. They remind you, you're not alone, you're being guided. The process of individuation. Jung's entire psychological framework rests on a single goal: individuation. Individuation is the lifelong process of becoming whole, of integrating all parts of yourself, both light and shadow, known and unknown. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about becoming more fully you. And that journey doesn't happen by forcing the future to arrive faster. It happens by honoring the timing of your inner evolution. When you feel stuck, uncertain, or lost, Jung would urge you to look within, not for instant solutions, but for the deeper truths trying to emerge. Every delay, every longing, every quiet season of waiting may in fact be doing the inner work for you. You might not yet see it, but something is being built, an inner architecture strong enough to hold the life you're asking for, a soul-guided path. So what does it mean to live as if everything you need is already on its way? It means you stop chasing, you begin listening, you no longer fear the unknown, you begin to trust it. You embrace mystery, knowing that just because something isn't visible doesn't mean it isn't real. Carl Jung didn't offer a passive spirituality. He didn't suggest we sit and do nothing, but he did urge us to align with the soul's timeline, not the ego's. The soul moves slowly, quietly, purposefully, and often the soul prepares us long before it delivers the thing we think we want. Final thoughts for this section. If you feel like you're waiting for life to begin, if you feel like something essential hasn't arrived yet, pause. Consider the possibility that it's already moving towards you, but at a pace that honors your becoming. And consider the idea that maybe the waiting itself is part of your transformation. The universe doesn't run on deadlines. It runs on deep P, symbolic timing. The unconscious is not a void, it's a compass. And what if your next breakthrough isn't something you must force, but something you must receive? As Jung reminded us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But once you begin to listen, fate becomes a conversation, and everything you need begins to find you. 2. The wisdom in waiting, embracing uncertainty as a sacred space. We live in a world that glorifies clarity, speed, and constant progress. We celebrate those who move fast, make bold decisions, and seem to always know what they're doing. But what happens when you don't know? When everything feels paused, or when the answers you seek stay just out of reach? Most of us have been taught to fear these moments. We call them being stuck in limbo, lost, confused, behind. But what if Carl Jung was right? What if these uncertain spaces are not dead ends, but thresholds? What if they are sacred pauses, designed by the psyche to realign you with your deepest path? Resistance and the ego's fear. One of the most powerful lessons Jung left us is that resistance is not a failure of willpower. It is a defense of the ego. The ego, the conscious I that we often mistake for the whole self, wants certainty. It wants identity, structure, and predictability. But the soul? The soul is not interested in safety. It's interested in wholeness. And sometimes in order to grow, your soul will pull you into the unknown, not to punish you, but to prepare you. So when the ego faces uncertainty, it often responds with fear. What if I'm wasting time? What if I never figure it out? What if everyone else is moving ahead while I fall behind? These thoughts are natural, but they come from a part of you that hasn't yet learned how to trust the invisible. The mystery is a mirror. In Jungian psychology, the unconscious is always trying to balance the conscious. So if you've spent years overly identified with logic, action, or outward achievement, your unconscious may create situations that force you inward. It may withhold clarity so you can begin to develop something more subtle, like intuition, patience, emotional awareness, or spiritual depth. This is why uncertainty often mirrors what you most need to see. It's not a void, it's a mirror. It reflects your beliefs about time, trust, value, and control. And if you sit with that mirror long enough, if you stop trying to escape it or fix it, you might begin to see something beautiful, that your longing, your restlessness, even your confusion are all signs that your inner life is in motion. Jung taught that all true transformation begins in the dark. Just like a caterpillar turns to liquid in the chrysalis before becoming a butterfly, your psyche too must unmake itself before it can take a new form. Alchemy and transformation. One of Jung's great contributions to psychology was his revival of alchemical symbolism. He saw ancient alchemy not as primitive science, but as a symbolic map of psychological transformation. In alchemy, lead becomes gold, but not by force. It must undergo fire, dissolution, and darkness, and each stage, no matter how chaotic or unclear, is necessary. Jung believed that our lives follow this same rhythm. There are times for structure and times for melting down what no longer serves us. And in the waiting times, when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, that's often when the deepest inner transformation is taking place. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble, Jung wrote. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. To outgrow a problem means allowing your consciousness to expand so that the issue no longer has the same hold over you. But this can't be rushed. It's an organic unfolding, like petals opening to the sun. Your task is not to force clarity, but to trust that your psyche knows how to grow, creating space for what's coming. Imagine if your waiting wasn't empty. Imagine it was a sacred vessel, being carved out to hold something new. Not having the answer today doesn't mean you're failing. It may mean the answer isn't ripe yet, and it may mean you are still being ripened to receive it. Just as a mother's womb holds space for new life in quiet darkness, your own soul may be gestating a transformation that can't yet be seen. Jung reminded us that the unconscious is always working, always speaking, often through dreams, emotions, synchronicities, and even restlessness. So when you feel uncertain, ask yourself, what am I being invited to feel rather than fix? What old identity is dissolving to make space for the next version of me? What if this pause is not punishment, but preparation? Final thoughts for this section. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It is the fertile soil where new truths take root. To trust that everything you need is already on its way is to trust that even this moment, this unclear, in-between space, has meaning. So soften your resistance. Let go of the demand for immediate answers and allow the unknown to become your ally. Because as Jung knew, the most important things in life don't arrive when you force them. They arrive when you're ready to hold them. And your readiness, it's growing now in the waiting. 3. Synchronicity. When the universe speaks back. Have you ever had a moment so strange, so perfectly timed, that it made you pause and ask, what are the odds? You think about someone you haven't spoken to in years, and they text you that afternoon. You struggle with a big life decision, then open a book at random and read a sentence that speaks directly to your heart. These moments feel like magic, but Carl Jung had another name for them: synchronicity. More than coincidence, synchronicity is meaningful alignment, the coming together of inner and outer worlds in ways that feel deeply personal, even fated. To Jung, these were not random accidents. They were signs that life itself is a dialogue, and that your inner journey is intimately connected to the outer universe. Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Carl Jung. Defining synchronicity. Synchronicity is not just a quirky occurrence or a fun story to tell. In Jung's psychology, it is evidence of the mysterious web that connects everything: your thoughts, your emotions, your unconscious, and the cosmos itself. He introduced the term to describe events that are not linked by cause and effect, but by meaning. They emerge when something shifts inside of you, when your inner frequency aligns with something just outside your conscious field of control, and suddenly you receive a message, a sign, a pattern. The universe speaks back, not with words, but with symbols. These moments often arise during periods of emotional intensity or transition, when you're asking big questions, feeling lost, or standing on the edge of change. It's as if the world becomes responsive, echoing your thoughts and emotions through seemingly unrelated events. The role of symbols. To understand synchronicity, we need to understand how Jung viewed symbols. In Jungian psychology, symbols are not just signs, they are living bridges between the conscious and the unconscious. Dreams, for example, are filled with symbolic content. They aren't just random fragments of memory, they are the psyche's way of communicating truths that logic alone can't grasp. Similarly, a synchronicity, a number that keeps appearing, a song that plays at the perfect moment, an animal that crosses your path 3 days in a row, can act as a symbol. It doesn't just mean something in a rational way. It resonates. It feels charged with emotional or spiritual significance. The more you learn to notice and engage with these symbols, the more you begin to co-create with the universe. A conversation, not a coincidence. One of the most powerful things about synchronicity is that it invites you to pay attention. It wakes you up. It urges you to ask deeper questions. What is my soul trying to tell me? What am I ready to see that I've been ignoring? How might this outer event mirror something happening inside me? Jung believed that the psyche and the world are not separate. He called this concept the unus mundus, or one world, a unified field where psyche and matter are part of the same reality. So when you experience synchronicity, you are standing in that field. You are no longer a passive observer. You are a participant in something deeper. This is why synchronicities often show up just when you're about to give up hope. They don't provide a logical answer, but they offer something more powerful, a sense of connection, a subtle knowing that you're not alone. Synchronicity and timing. Now, let's return to Jung's idea that everything you need is already on its way. How do synchronicities relate to that? They're breadcrumbs, clues, whispers from the universe that say, keep going. You're on the right path, even if you can't yet see where it leads. These moments are often small, but they carry big energy. They remind you that even in the quiet, slow, or confusing seasons, there is movement. There is alignment happening behind the scenes. So when you notice a synchronicity, pause, reflect, ask yourself, what was I thinking about just before this happened? What is this moment trying to confirm or invite me to explore? How can I be more open to signs like this in my daily life? Because the more attention you give to these moments, the more they tend to show up. Synchronicity feeds on awareness. And as your awareness grows, so does your trust. Integrating the insight. It's important not to become obsessive or superstitious about synchronicities. Not every coincidence is a sign, but the ones that move you, that stir something in your soul, those are worth listening to. Treat them as sacred encounters. Journal them. Meditate on them. Let them soften your need for control and open your heart to wonder. Because wonder, after all, is a form of wisdom. And in Jung's world, wisdom isn't just knowledge, it's relationship, a living, breathing dialogue between you and the deeper forces guiding your life. Final thoughts for this section. So the next time something strange happens, the next time life seems to wink at you through timing, dreams, or symbols, remember, you're not just imagining things, you're participating in a cosmic conversation. And that conversation is part of the greater truth that underlies this entire video. What you need is already in motion, not random, not late, not forgotten, but unfolding through signs, symbols, and synchronicities at exactly the pace your soul requires. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Carl Jung. You are not lost. You are being guided, and your awareness is the key that unlocks the path ahead. 4. Meeting the shadow. Are you blocking what you're asking for? What if the very thing you've been waiting for, peace, purpose, love, clarity, has been trying to reach you, but it keeps hitting a wall you don't even know is there? That wall, Carl Jung would tell us, is often built from within. It's not made of fate or failure. It's made of the parts of yourself you've pushed away, the parts that live in the shadow. Jung's theory of the shadow is one of his most powerful and most misunderstood contributions to depth psychology. And in this section, we'll explore what the shadow is, why it's essential to your growth, and how unhealed or unacknowledged parts of you may be silently blocking the very blessings you seek. What is the shadow? In simple terms, the shadow is everything you have rejected, denied, or disowned in yourself. It's made up of traits, feelings, desires, or beliefs that didn't fit the image you were taught to present to the world. But here's the twist. The shadow doesn't only contain what we call negative traits, like jealousy, anger, or selfishness. It can also contain your power, your intuition, your creativity, and even your capacity for joy, especially if those traits were shamed, punished, or misunderstood in early life. Jung said, "The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. To become conscious of it involves recognizing the dark aspects of the personality as present and real. Becoming conscious of the shadow is not comfortable, but it is essential, because the shadow doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits. It acts out. It sabotages. It leaks into our relationships, decisions, and emotional patterns. And often, it resists the very things we say we want because it believes we aren't ready or don't deserve them." The shadow's silent resistance. Let's say you deeply desire a loving, intimate relationship, but deep in your shadow is a core belief, maybe inherited from childhood, that you are unworthy of love. So every time love gets close, that hidden belief gets triggered. You pull away or attract emotionally unavailable people, or unconsciously test your partner until the relationship collapses. This isn't sabotage in the traditional sense, it's protection. The shadow protects you from what it believes will hurt you, even if that hurt is simply unfamiliar love or success. So when you say, "I'm ready for the next level," but nothing moves, ask, what in me might still be afraid of receiving it? This is not self-blame. This is deep compassion. Because the parts of you that block your blessings are usually the parts that are still hurting, still waiting, still frozen in a story of the past. Integration, the gateway to readiness. Jung didn't believe we could get rid of the shadow. He believed in integrating it, bringing it into the light of awareness with gentleness and honesty. Integration doesn't mean approval. It means acknowledgement. It means saying, yes, this too is part of me. And paradoxically, this is what unlocks your next chapter, because what you own no longer controls you from the dark. Let's return to Jung's insight. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This isn't just about people, it's about life. What frustrates you, what keeps repeating, what you resent or avoid, these are mirrors. And the more clearly you see into those mirrors, the more power you have to align with what you truly want. Once the shadow begins to integrate, resistance begins to dissolve. You no longer repel what you desire through hidden shame, fear, or self-doubt. You make space for clarity, for flow, for synchronicity. Practical shadow work. You might be wondering, how do I start doing shadow work? It doesn't require years of therapy or dramatic inner upheaval. It begins with curiosity and compassion. Here are a few starting points. Notice your emotional triggers. What kinds of people, situations, or feedback make you defensive or reactive? What might they reveal about your inner wounds? Watch your dreams. Jung believed dreams are messages from the unconscious, often filled with symbolic representations of the shadow. Practice radical self-honesty. Gently ask, where am I not being truthful with myself? What am I pretending not to know? Use journaling as a mirror. Write out your strongest emotions, envy, anger, fear, and explore where they come from. What story are they connected to? And most of all, remember, shadow work is not a one-time task. It's a lifelong dance with yourself. But every step you take toward integration brings you closer to receiving what your soul is already preparing. Final thoughts for this section. The shadow is not your enemy. It's your unloved self. And the more you turn toward it, not with judgment but with presence, the more whole you become. And when you become whole, you no longer just wish for what you want. You become the kind of person who can hold it. So if something hasn't arrived yet, consider this. Maybe it's not just on its way. Maybe it's waiting for you, the fuller, freer, more integrated you, to rise and meet it. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Carl Jung. Your next chapter isn't delayed. It's being shaped in the unseen places. And every shadow you meet is a doorway back to your power. 5. Divine timing. The soul moves at the speed of ripening. We live in a culture obsessed with speed. Faster goals, quicker answers, next-day delivery for everything from shoes to spirituality. We're trained to believe that if something takes too long, we must be doing something wrong. And so we rush, we push, we strive, desperate to make life bend to our timeline. But what if the delay isn't a denial? What if it's a form of protection? Or better yet, preparation? Carl Jung saw time not through the eyes of the clock, but through the eyes of the soul. And the soul, he taught, doesn't move according to urgency. It moves according to ripeness. For a tree to become tall, Jung wrote, it must grow tough roots among the rocks. In this section, we'll explore why your journey may take longer than your ego wants, and how that slowness is not a flaw, but a sacred unfolding. The myth of too late. One of the deepest fears the ego holds is that it's too late. Too late to start over, too late to change, too late to become who you really are. But the soul doesn't know clocks or deadlines. It only knows seasons. And just like in nature, everything in the psyche has its own season of germination, growth, and blooming. You don't blame a rose for not blooming in winter. You don't doubt the seed buried in soil just because you can't see its sprouts. And yet, when it comes to our own lives, we treat every delay as a failure. Jung's work reminds us to trust the inner rhythm. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not on its way. It may simply be growing in the dark. Ego versus soul timing. The ego wants what it wants now. It's goal-oriented, hungry for progress, and uncomfortable with the unknown. It compares, it rushes, it resists mystery. But the soul isn't interested in productivity. It's interested in integration. It wants you to become whole, not just successful. And so it may slow you down on purpose until you are inwardly prepared to receive what you outwardly desire. You might think you're waiting for the thing, but often the thing is waiting for you to mature into the person who can carry it. Imagine if all your dreams arrived tomorrow. Would your nervous system be ready? Would your habits, your sense of self, your capacity to receive joy and love be strong enough to hold them? Divine timing is not a cosmic tease. It's the universe ensuring you are truly ready, not just externally, but energetically. The symbolism of slowness. In many spiritual traditions, slowness is a sign of depth. Ancient temples were built over decades, sometimes lifetimes. Wells were dug slowly by hand to reach fresh water, and rites of passage were not one-day events, but long periods of inner and outer transformation. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming the whole integrated self, was never meant to be quick. It was a journey of decades, of dreams, crises, reevaluation, and emergence. He believed that what comes slowly comes with roots, and what is rushed often falls apart when tested. So when your journey feels slow, ask yourself, what foundations are being strengthened right now? What old patterns are being gently unwound before something new can begin? What in me is still softening, healing, preparing? Slowness isn't failure. It's depth training, the hidden work of patience. There is a kind of alchemy happening in your waiting. Though you may feel stuck, much is happening beneath the surface. Your capacity to trust is being stretched. Your identity is being refined. Your sense of worth is detaching from achievement. Your inner compass is being recalibrated. Jung would call this a necessary stage of transformation, like the nigredo in alchemy, the blackening, the breaking down before rebirth can occur. Patience, then, is not passive. It's participatory. It's the art of staying open, curious, and humble while the deeper layers of your being are being restructured. And often, the longer you wait, the more precise the answer becomes. The more aligned the relationship, the more resonant the opportunity. Because the universe isn't just responding to your desires, it's responding to your readiness, surrendering to the sacred pace. So how do you live this in real time? How do you stop fighting the clock and start flowing with the current? Start by replacing urgency with presence. When you catch yourself thinking, it should have happened by now, gently ask, according to whom? What if now is still part of the journey? Next, trust the subtle movements. Sometimes divine timing shows up not as a big event, but as a quiet shift, a new idea, a sudden ease, an inner yes. Learn to honor those small nudges. They are the soul's language. Finally, practice gratitude for the in-between, not because everything is perfect, but because this moment is alive, and your awareness of it makes it sacred. The right way to wholeness, Jung said, is made up of fateful detours and wrong turnings. Your delays are not detours from your destiny. They are the path, and your willingness to trust that path transforms everything. Final thoughts for this section. The universe is not a vending machine, responding only to what you punch in with your ego. It is a living field of energy that responds to your alignment, your awareness, and your readiness. So if what you want hasn't arrived yet, don't despair. Look deeper. Ask, what is life building in me while I wait? Because maybe, Just maybe. The waiting is the very thing that's making you ready. Everything you need is already on its way, and it will arrive the moment you are fully home in yourself. 6. Dreams and archetypes. Messages from the deep. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt strangely real, so vivid, symbolic, or emotionally intense that it lingered with you for hours, even days? Maybe it made no sense logically, but deep down you knew. This meant something. To Carl Jung, this wasn't fantasy. It was communication. Your dreams, he believed, are letters from the unconscious, powerful messages from the deeper parts of your psyche sent not to confuse you, but to guide you. And often they are how the soul begins preparing you, long before your conscious mind is ready. In this section, we'll explore how dreams, symbols, and archetypes reveal what's already on its way to you, even when life seems quiet or uncertain. The unconscious speaks in symbols. Jung saw dreams not as random neural firings, but as the voice of the unconscious. And because the unconscious doesn't use language like we do, it speaks in images, myth, and emotion. In dreams, your inner world plays out as metaphor. A locked door may represent repressed potential. A flood may symbolize emotional overwhelm. A recurring stranger may be a part of yourself you haven't yet met. These aren't just projections, they're invitations. Invitations to look deeper. To ask, what part of me is being called forward? What is trying to emerge through this dream? Because in Jungian psychology, dreams often carry teleological insight, meaning they don't just process the past. They point toward the future. They can sense what's coming, what's being born inside you, even before you consciously know it. Archetypes, the universal patterns within. To truly understand the language of dreams, we have to understand archetypes. Jung believed that the human psyche shares a collective unconscious, a field of memory, myth, and instinct that we all inherit. Within this field live archetypes, universal patterns of thought, behavior, and emotion that appear across time, culture, and individual lives. Think of the hero on a journey of transformation, the wise old man offering cryptic advice, the mother nurturing or withholding, the shadow confronting the self with fear and truth, the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine energies striving toward balance. These archetypes aren't just figures in mythology. They're alive in your dreams, your imagination, and your everyday decisions. They appear in the symbols your unconscious uses to show you who you are becoming and what you are being called to face. The archetype is a tendency to form such representations of a motif, representations that can vary a great deal in detail without losing their basic pattern, Jung wrote. And once you begin to recognize these patterns, you begin to recognize your life as part of something larger. How the psyche prepares you. Have you ever had a dream that made sense only months or years later? Or realized, in hindsight, that your subconscious had been preparing you for a major life shift? Jung believed that dreams often act as psychic compensation, balancing what's missing from the conscious perspective. So if you're ignoring your need for rest, your dreams may force you to confront exhaustion. If you're resisting change, your dreams may bring images of collapse, transformation, or liberation. This is not punishment, it's preparation. Your psyche knows what you're ready to feel, and it also knows what you're still avoiding, so it gently, symbolically, persistently whispers to you in your sleep until you're ready to listen. Dream work as a spiritual practice. Jung often journaled his dreams. He even created a detailed manuscript, the Red Book, to record his visions, images, and inner dialogues. He didn't see this as indulgent. He saw it as essential soul work. You don't have to analyze every dream with surgical precision, but if you start a simple practice, writing them down, sketching the imagery, sitting with the emotion, you begin to build a bridge. You begin to honor the unconscious. And over time, patterns will emerge, recurring symbols, emotional themes, characters who evolve with you. These become your personal myth, your inner compass, your oracle. Not in a predictive sense, but in a revelatory one, because often your dreams are already whispering what is on its way. They show you what needs to be healed, what's ready to rise, and what your soul longs to remember, bringing the symbolic into the real. The magic of Jung's work is that it never stayed locked in theory. He believed the symbolic must be made conscious, integrated into real life. So when a dream stirs something in you, take it seriously. Ask, what might this dream be revealing about where I am emotionally? What archetype is trying to speak through this symbol? What action or reflection can I take in waking life to honor this message? Sometimes this might mean setting a boundary, forgiving a wound, beginning a new chapter, or simply seeing yourself with more compassion. In doing so, you align the outer world with the inner one, and that's where synchronicity happens. That's where movement begins. That's when everything you need starts showing up, not because it's being summoned by force, but because you are finally in resonance with it. Final thoughts for this section. Your unconscious is not a dark, unknowable force. It's your ally, your mirror, your soul's voice. And when you tune into it, especially through dreams and archetypes, you begin to feel what Jung called the numinous, a sacred, mysterious energy that connects you to the greater pattern of existence. Dreams are the guiding words of the soul, Jung said. Why should I henceforth not love my dreams and not make their riddling images into objects of my daily consideration? Everything you need is already on its way, but long before it arrives in the outer world, it begins its journey through the inner one, through symbols, through story, through soul. And if you dare to listen, you'll find that your dreams knew the way all along. 7. Inner alignment, becoming the space for what you seek. At this point in our journey, we've explored how your unconscious mind prepares you, how synchronicity speaks to you, and how dreams reveal your soul's unfolding. But now we ask the most important question of all. How do you become ready for what's already on its way? How do you move from waiting to welcoming? Carl Jung taught that transformation doesn't begin with fixing the outer world. It begins with inner alignment. That means becoming congruent, whole, resonant. It means tuning your thoughts, emotions, actions, and energy to the frequency of what you're seeking. Because you don't manifest your destiny by chasing it, you become a living invitation for it. Alignment versus effort. There's a big difference between working hard and being aligned. Working hard is often about striving, forcing, overcompensating. But alignment is relaxed power. It's when your choices, beliefs, emotions, and vision are all flowing in the same direction. Jung understood this through the lens of individuation, the process of becoming your true integrated self. When you are aligned, you're not performing. You're not chasing external validation. You're not grasping or shrinking or controlling. You're simply being, and that being radiates a kind of magnetic authenticity. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung wrote, is to become who you truly are. And when you begin living from that truth, the universe starts responding differently. The 4 realms of inner alignment. To live in true alignment, you must harmonize 4 key aspects of your being. 1. Mental alignment. Thoughts that support your becoming. Your mind is a powerful co-creator. If your thoughts are rooted in fear, doubt, or scarcity, you'll find it hard to receive what life wants to offer. Ask yourself, are my thoughts rooted in trust or control? Do I believe I'm allowed to receive what I desire? Am I open to possibilities I can't yet see? Mental alignment isn't about blind positivity. It's about choosing thoughts that are faithful to your deeper self, not your fear. 2. Emotional alignment. Feeling safe to receive. Many people block their desires because they don't feel emotionally safe with the idea of receiving. Ask, can I sit with joy or do I sabotage it? Can I feel the vulnerability of being seen, loved, and supported? Can I allow space for grief or fear without letting it define me? True alignment means you're not pushing away the uncomfortable. You're welcoming all of you so that nothing inside you has to hide. 3. Physical alignment. Embodying your readiness. Your body holds more wisdom than your mind. It tells you when something feels right or not. When you're aligned, your posture, breath, and energy reflect presence. Try grounding exercises, breath work, mindful movement. Ask yourself, what does ready feel like in my body? What does resistance feel like? Can I soften into trust even when I don't have all the answers? This embodiment is key to becoming a vessel for the unseen to take form. Number 4, spiritual alignment, trusting the invisible threads. This is where your relationship with the unseen comes in. Whether you call it God, the universe, your higher self, or simply life, there is a deeper intelligence guiding you. Spiritual alignment is knowing you're supported even when you feel alone. You're growing even when nothing appears to change. You're enough even before the evidence arrives. Jung encouraged us to listen to that force, to engage with it, to let it be part of our daily consciousness. Micro moments of alignment. Don't think you have to change your whole life overnight. Alignment begins in micro moments. Each time you pause to breathe deeply, speak your truth, trust your intuition, or soften instead of resist, you realign. Each time you choose presence over panic, curiosity over control, you align your energy with what you're asking for. You're not waiting idly. You're cultivating the space that will receive what's coming. And when your life becomes a match for what you seek, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that's when doors open. That's when synchronicities accelerate. That's when what you need appears, not out of thin air, but out of resonance. The mirror of the universe. Jung believed that the outer world mirrors the inner world. If there is chaos within, it will often be reflected in the world around you. But when there is coherence within, life begins to mirror that as well. So instead of asking, when will it come? Try asking, am I becoming the person who can hold it? Because sometimes the journey isn't about going out and finding it. It's about letting it find you. And it can't find you if you're still hiding from yourself. Final thoughts for this section. Inner alignment is not a one-time event. It's a moment-to-moment return to yourself. It's a practice of trust, attunement, and willingness. We cannot change anything until we accept it, Jung said. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. To receive what's already on its way, you must first accept yourself as you are. And from that place of truth, you can grow into the next version of you, the one who no longer waits in fear, but stands in readiness. So remember, you are not powerless, you are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. And the more you become aligned with your essence, the more life rises to meet you. 8. Everything you need is already on its way, a homecoming. And now, here we are. After exploring the unconscious, synchronicity, the shadow, divine timing, and the language of dreams, we arrive at the heart of this journey. A single, life-altering truth, gently whispered by Carl Jung. What you need is already on its way. It doesn't matter where you are right now, whether you feel stuck, confused, heartbroken, or full of hope. This truth still stands, not as a promise of ease, but as a reminder of trust. Because Jung didn't teach us how to fix life. He showed us how to meet it, with eyes wide open and a heart ready to listen. A life lived in dialogue. You were never meant to walk through life as a disconnected observer. Your thoughts, your longings, your wounds, they are not random. They are the invitations your soul sends you toward wholeness. Life is not something happening to you. Life is happening with you. You are in a living dialogue with the universe, and every moment of silence, waiting, or unraveling is part of that conversation. When nothing appears to be changing on the surface, something deep is taking root. When you're being delayed, you might also be getting refined. And when you feel most lost, you are often closest to breakthrough, because the psyche always moves in spirals, not straight lines. Becoming the vessel. What you seek, love, clarity, purpose, healing, is not just about acquiring something. It's about becoming someone capable of holding what the soul has always known you're here to receive. You are not waiting on life. Life is shaping you. So instead of asking, when will it happen? Ask, what within me is growing? What is life preparing me to hold with more grace, more truth, more depth? How can I trust that what's not here yet still belongs to me? Because your readiness is the signal, and the moment your soul is ready to hold it, the outer world begins to mirror that shift. Trust the invisible weaving. Carl Jung believed in the mystery. He knew the psyche is a vast and sacred space, and that each life is shaped by invisible threads, threads that bind us to myth, archetype, ancestry, and the divine pattern of existence. You may not see those threads, but they're weaving you into the exact shape required for what's next. Even when you can't name the pattern, you are still part of it. There is a rhythm deeper than time. There is an order inside the chaos. There is a hidden intelligence at work in your becoming. Your job isn't to control that force. Your job is to listen, to align, to trust. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung. And perhaps it's also the most liberating. Because once you accept where you are, the journey becomes sacred. You stop rushing toward a finish line and start living in wonder. You begin to see signs everywhere, not because they weren't there before, but because your eyes are now open, walking forward with soul. So as we close this journey together, take a deep breath. Feel the quiet wisdom of your own body. Feel the space you've made by listening. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are being shaped by something larger than your will, a soul-driven current that moves with intelligence, grace, and fierce love. And everything you need is not only on its way, it's already surrounding you in subtle, synchronistic whispers. It's in the dream that woke you up last night. It's in the shadow you're finally ready to face. It's in the breath you take when you stop resisting and begin to trust. Because trust isn't passive, it's a radical act of alignment. It's how you say to the universe, I am ready, even if I don't yet understand how. And in that readiness, everything begins to move. As you step back into the world, let yourself move slowly. Let yourself listen deeply. Let yourself trust that you are being guided, shaped, and supported beyond what you can currently see. Let yourself believe, not from the mind, but from the soul, that everything you need is already on its way. Because it is. Because it always was. Because you are already on the path home. As we close today's journey, remember, the universe is not silent. It's always speaking, gently guiding you through synchronicities, dreams, delays, and deep inner stirrings. Trust that what you're seeking is already in motion, already on its way to meet the version of you who's ready to receive it. You are not behind. You are becoming. And in this sacred becoming, you are never alone. Thank you for spending this sacred time with us here on Galactic Wisdom. If this message touched something in your heart, please let us know. Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, or tell us what resonated most with you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode from the soul. Until next time, stay aligned, stay awake, and always trust the unfolding. We'll see you in the next transmission.